When are you going to join the front line?
Shut up, man! I'm asking him.
Palestine. I mean, there must be somewhere you're
When are you
leaving.
going to join the front line? Yeah, you come over here and give it all
Do you know they
the.
serve pies in Israel? You might say.
So this individual here is Candyman. You know him
Candyman.
from Speaker's Corner. You know, he's one of the characters here. He's been shilling for extremist Islam very often. But today he's here asking me, why am I not in Ukraine? Now, Candyman, let me answer
Yeah, you're the
your
age of
question.
fighting.
Let me answer
You
your
got-
question.
Yeah, answer please.
I have had many veterans from Ukraine coming to me and thanking me for what I'm doing and doing speeches for the Ukrainian
said that
cause.
to you?
They have said that it's very important for them to get the right equipment. And for them to get the right equipment, that is what we are doing. That is what we will do. We will
You're getting
make sure
battered,
that
man.
Ukraine
Every
gets
day
the
you're getting
right
battered
equipment.
by the
What do you mean
Russians.
battered?
Every
You'd
day
be
you're
eating
getting
him
battered.
if he was in batter.
Listen, no, battered.
Eating him.
Battered,
Yeah,
you're getting
battered
beat.
like a sausage.
Listen, you're getting beaten up every day. You know?
He is not battered.
Nah, listen, man.
He's not
You
battered.
Western
You're
countries.
eating him.
Listen, man. You white Western countries.
You racist cunt.
Yeah, I am.
You racist cunt.
Listen, man. You
vile
are getting
racist.
abused.
I'm getting
and
abused. By
used
whom?
And exploited by the
whom?
West.
By the West.
Especially that guy.
How?
That guy. The
Absolutely. He's the exploiter. He's
No,
the big
West.
exploiter.
The West are exploiting
Give me
you.
an example of Western
West what?
exploitation.
West London.
You have to pay
One
for
example.
the weapons
One
that
example.
you bought from the West.
One example.
You think they give it to you for free?
But we need those
You're gonna
weapons
have
to
You're
fight
just
against the
jealous.
invasion.
You're not going to win.
jealous.
No, I'm not going to win. You're not
Why do
going to
you
win.
think so?
They will eat him.
Why do you
They will
think?
eat
One
him.
man.
Who's
I'll
going
tell
to
you
eat me?
something.
Russia, they will
Russia
eat
will
Ukraine.
eat me. Are
Well,
they
they're taking a
cannibals?
very long time,
They will
aren't
eat
they?
Ukraine.
Why?
Listen, man, let's have to
I'm
go on
waiting
something,
for
yeah?
proof.
Yeah,
I'm
like
waiting
that
for
3
evidence.
day war.
Shut
That's how
up.
they're eating them.
Hey,
That's
I'm
shut
waiting
up
for
a second.
evidence.
Eat 3 days. Taking
Listen,
a long
listen,
time.
you
isn't
lot-
it?
I am waiting for evidence.
No answer. Mr. Hoodrich has
Hey,
no answer.
oxygen thief. Oxygen thief.
Sucking his lolly.
Shut up
Oh,
for a
no, it's a
minute.
bait. It's a bait.
Listen,
Look like a
Listen,
lollipop.
What did you ask?
when the
Look like a
Russian,
lollipop.
they were
What did you
bombing.
Looks like a lollipop,
What did you
Mr.
ask?
Deliveroo.
What did
Hey, guys, one discussion at a time.
Why are
One
you sucking a
discussion.
What did you
lollipop?
ask?
Why are you sucking a
Do you want to
lollipop?
suck that? Come on.
Your
No, what is
lollipop.
suck? It's just fit. Nothing more.
like
They
a
will
toy.
eat you. Russia
Looks
is
like a
destroyed. They
vibrator.
will eat you
Why?
and they come to
Why do
the
you
West.
think so?
They will
Why-
eat.
why do you- they will come
They
from
are
the
the
West.
right thing. They are the
No,
right.
they're not going to come.
They are
They're
the
not
right.
going to come. They
are
don't.
the
They
right.
don't. They don't. They
You have the
don't.
right.
That's a lie. That's a
Wait,
lie.
wait, shut
No,
up.
no,
Shut
no.
up.
After Hitler's died,
Yeah.
Russia say Ukraine is like my garden. No need to come next to me. And now Ukraine see, no, we need to be with NATO, be with Europe. They're not gonna let you be. Come on.
Says who?
Hold on. No. Wait, Steve. Give me a second. Give me a
Smart,
second.
man.
Hold on. Where are you from?
I'm from Libya.
You're
From Earth, from
Lovely,
Libya.
Lovely. If the French come back to Libya and say this is our land now, you're gonna have to shut up and
We
listen to
will
them.
kill
Is that
him.
so?
We will kill him.
Is that so?
We will kill him.
Ah, he's going to kill them.
You're stronger than France. You
Yes,
think?
yes,
not
Your
strong.
military is
Yeah,
strong.
they push you.
Because with us.
Exactly. So
Because
why
with
does
us.
France not come to you and not abuse you like Russia is abusing Ukraine?
Russia, they
because
come and
France
they kick
is
Gaddafi.
not. Because I'll tell you why.
No, I will tell you. I will tell you
Okay,
something
you tell
to
me,
finish.
you tell me.
England, America, all NATO, and France.
All the
they come
countries you
2011 in my country and they kill my fucking president.
Yet your
What
hair.
is that?
Your brothers.
No, they killed the president. They killed all of my people. There is a lot
They
of
killed
people.
all of your people.
15,000
preventing them
15,000 homeless
Hold
in
on.
half an hour.
Why
You're
are
not
you
going to see this in
complaining
BBC because
about
they're not speaking
Why
about that.
are you complaining about
Which
it?
of us
If
are
Russia
you
is
complaining?
attacking
Let's say
Ukraine
everyone.
and you're siding
Afghanistan, Iraq,
Heroin
Syria,
Star, thank you very
Libya,
much.
And you
Yemen,
choose here.
every
And
single
you choose
country.
here.
We have
Why
a
are you
war.
complaining
No
about
one
it?
speak in the West.
Hold
but
on.
when Russia invade Ukraine, yeah, start everyone speaking. Why no one speak about Iraq? A million of people they killed in America
What
and
about
England
Russia
in
and
Iraq.
Syria?
Things
What about
first.
Russia
You need to
Your
bombing
have some
people,
manners.
Syria?
your
I need to
people,
stop
they go to
spitting.
the Iraq with America.
First,
Your
you need
people,
to
they
have
go to
some
the
manners
Iraq.
and you need to stop spitting.
Yeah.
Because you're spitting all over the
All
place.
right.
That's the first point. Second point, war in Iraq. First war in Iraq, the Iraq was in the wrong because it invaded Kuwait. Iraq was beaten back by the US because the US had a treaty with Kuwait. Second war of Iraq. Saddam Hussein had a war with Iran when he tried to invade Iran. Saddam Hussein had attacked the Saudis. Saddam Hussein had attacked Kuwait.
Is that your business?
Saddam Hussein
Is
was
that your
getting
business?
put
Is
down.
Ukraine your
That's your
business?
business.
Is
Well,
Ukraine
stop
your
mouthing
business?
off
No,
about
it's not my
Ukraine,
business, okay?
So why are you talking?
No, I'm talking because
Why are you
now
talking?
everyone's speaking.
Why are you
Because
talking
everyone's
then?
speaking. So when
But you don't like people speaking about Ukraine. It makes you angry. It makes you angry.
Yes.
What treaty?
Did Ukraine break a treaty with Russia?
No
Yes or
treaties
no?
were broken by Ukraine.
Yes,
Every
you
treaty
broke
was
the
broken by
Minsk,
Russia.
the Minsk
Russia
agreement.
broke
You
both
broke
the
it.
Minsk agreement.
Yeah, what do
The
you expect them?
second,
What do
the
you expect
second
them?
Minsk agreement.
NATO,
Hold on.
NATO on
So
their,
this guy
on their
says
borders,
Ukraine
yeah?
broke the treaty.
NATO
I
in
tell
their
him,
borders.
no.
And you think
Thank
the
you.
Russian would
Thank
just
you.
sit down and
This individual says Ukraine broke the Minsk agreements. I tell him no, Russia broke the Minsk agreements. He answers, what do you expect? Of course Russia broke the Minsk agreements.
No, you did break it.
No, we didn't.
You did.
No, we didn't.
Because
The second
you showed
Minsk
interest
agreement.
to join NATO.
Oh, hold on.
And
We
you're not
broke the
allowed to
agreement
join NATO.
by showing interest. If you were informed even a little bit, you would know that Ukraine showed interest before the Minsk agreements were signed, before the war even began. But you don't know this because you're uninformed. Let me
Can I
inform
say
you of
one word?
something.
Can I say
Go
one
on.
word?
Go on.
You said Saddam Hussein he made a mistake invading Kuwait.
No mistake.
Please,
It wasn't a mistake. He did it on purpose.
Let me come to you. You talk. Let me talk.
Of course, make your point.
Okay. First about Kuwait, about Iran. First, you made a mistake. Sorry, probably misinformation.
Go.
He invaded Iran with the support of America and Soviet Union first, from 1981 to 1989. And then after that, he invaded Kuwait.
So
Yeah.
support of US?
Yeah, no. So
don't think so. I don't
please,
think so.
let me continue. I haven't finished.
No, but you need to
I
make
have
your
no.
points.
You spoke. I heard you. You have to hear
But
me.
I'm asking you about your point.
You have
because
to
I don't
hear him,
understand.
You have to hear me. You have to hear me till the end.
Give him a second.
You have to hear me. Yes. Okay. Now the point is not about Saddam Hussein. He's dictator. Me, I hate Saddam Hussein. He killed his own people. He killed Kurdish. He killed Sunni. He killed Shia. He killed Christian. He supported civilian wars in Lebanon. He supported many criminals around the world. But you know what the point? No, look into my eyes. Because it's a respectful conversation. Look around.
The point. I'm looking in your eyes.
No.
Lots of
let-
demands.
no,
I
let-
can't ask questions. I need to look in the eyes.
me
I need to
continue.
keep quiet
No,
and be
not
steady.
around the eyes,
Like
not
this.
around the eyes.
Go on,
Look
go on.
around the eyes.
Perfectly
But the point is not about attacking Iraq, about
gonna
attacking
take
the
your
regime.
oxygen license.
The point, even when they have Saddam Hussein down, they have been killing civilian people who they have nothing to do with the regime. Even the civilian people who they've been standing against Saddam, they have been killed by the NATO and others. Look, most of the people we do feel sorry for any person die in Ukraine, in Africa, in Palestine.
I don't feel sorry for any Ukrainian who dies.
No, I do feel. No.
Leave him,
sorry,
leave him,
please.
leave him.
No.
This guy's a waste.
You
This guy's
guys
a
went to
waste.
Iraq, yeah?
But
You
what
went to
he's
Iraq
trying to
and
discuss,
killed a lot of
you have
civilians,
to understand
yeah?
his emotional approach. Because you feel like somebody killed my brother, why he doesn't speak?
You went to
So you feel,
Iraq
oh, are you better than me? It's not meaning you are better than
Muslims over
me.
there.
But you are
Yeah?
both of
And you
you
come
in
and tell
the same
us,
situation.
you come and lecture us about human rights.
Because the NATO and others, they are using the Ukraine
Fucking my brother died in Iraq.
because it's a power between America and Russia and many civilian people that are dying
What are
in
you doing in Syria,
Ukraine.
man?
The war for a power is wrong. What you do as Ukrainian, you defend your land.
Thank you for your point of view.
You got my point?
You know,
But Saddam Hussein, the idea about Saddam Hussein in Iraq is about that. You understand? It's about the civilians who die over there. It's not about the regime. You got my point? So we have to look into eyes. And me, I totally understand because I'm Lebanese. And I know how the war does feel. And you must stand for your country, definitely. But when we want the support of everyone, you have to tell the others, yes, we do understand your point. Maybe in Europe they do all this claim, but we feel sorry for those people. We are not saying that. You have to blame the media, not to blame me as a Ukrainian, because I'm a victim like you.
Look, my friend, I thank
understand
you
me?
for having a good demeanor in the discussion. That's more than I can say about this individual. Definitely more than I can say
So
about
no
him.
problem.
But let me tell you where I agree, where I disagree. I'm not saying, I'm not speaking against the Iraqi people. I'm speaking against.
So that, he's not speaking about Iraqi.
I'm not speaking about the people themselves.
This is the media.
I am
This is not
speaking.
his problem.
But
It's
listen,
not
listen,
the
listen. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. But Saddam Hussein, in the first Iraq war, he was to blame. Clearly, he invaded
I
Kuwait.
blame him.
He was clearly to blame.
I blame
In the second Iraq
but
war,
there is something you don't know. There is something. You are very young man, I'm sure.
don't
Yeah?
you start with
No,
this,
please.
please.
But you don't know, please.
Please.
But you don't know
So
how
you can't listen
much.
to him either. He's like my age.
Please. Go read from the history who was supporting Saddam Hussein with his war against Iran.
I know the Americans support
Second, you see, so he's a friend of.
Yeah, because everybody hated Iran in that point. Iran had a very revolutionary extremist idea of expanding to every monarchy in the Middle East.
No, you know,
every
you know,
monarchy
you know
in the
what,
Middle
you know,
East.
no,
The
no,
Saudis,
no,
the Iraqis, everybody
you
was
know why?
terrified.
No, you know why? I will tell you why. I will light up more your eyes. I will tell you why. At that time, it was two polars. It was a Soviet polars, a communism. It was a capitalism. So now, most even the Middle East is very important part of the world with the natural resources and the control the resources culturally. So now, communism, they've been having their people from Middle East, and capitalism, they've been having their own people. Now, you created a regime that's different than capitalism and different than Soviets. So like this, you are emptying that part of the world from the people who are supporting here and there. That's why even the Soviets, during Iran and Iraq war, you know the wires, you put it on the borders, even the Soviet, they haven't given it to Iran, which is America supporting Saddam Hussein. So Soviets, they must support Iran. Even Soviets, they haven't supported Iran. Because it was Iran for them creation of this regime that will empty the
Iran
Middle
was a
East.
theocracy, and the Soviet
Why
Union
you
was
don't- why your
against
people
religion.
and
No,
West
it's not
people
about
didn't
religion.
speak
It's not
about
only about it's not about religion. Because you're creating some new ideas
switching
about
the topics.
But you understand me? No, but I'm explaining to you.
Let me give you my views, and then we'll go back to Ukraine, because we started with
every
Ukraine.
single country.
Because these individuals, you know, they need to be put in their place. They're coming here with their misinformation about Ukraine, and we can't allow that
I've been to Ukraine many times. Very
You know,
beautiful
this is
country, very
complete
nice people,
nonsense,
yeah.
especially with that individual.
By the way, I swear God, I don't hate Ukrainian people.
you see,
But
that's
you
fine,
need to
that's
drink
fine,
from the
that's
same cup that you give it to us.
What cup?
No, not Ukraine.
What cup did we give
The
to
American.
Ukraine, they invade with America in Iraq.
Hold on.
They be in Iraq. They be in Iraq. I have a picture. Ukrainian army in
Okay,
Iraq.
hold on. You have information about it.
Okay,
Excellent. Let's speak about Iraq for a second.
Okay, I have to go.
You know, no problem. It was a good conversation. Thank you.
No, relax.
Let me
Now
ask
it's
you
okay. Now it's
Do you
okay.
know the amount of losses the Ukrainians have had in Iraq? How many?
I don't know. I know.
Why do you say yeah?
I know. Your people, they was in Iraq.
Yes, but how many losses were there? You don't know, do you? I'll tell you. How
I don't care. Your
You
people
should
was
care.
there.
You should care, because the amount of losses proves the Ukrainians were not part of any active operations in Iraq.
If there is
The Ukrainians
problem
were doing
between
humanitarian
America,
help
there is a
in
problem
Iraq.
between America and Iraq. You, that time, you are not with NATO, not with America, not in like Europe, United
That's why
States.
Ukraine
So
was
why?
not part of any active operations. It was doing humanitarian help.
So you go there. You
It was
help.
doing humanitarian.
Did you help for right
You
thing?
understand what
Did you help for right thing?
humanitarian help is?
Did you find the weapon?
understand what
Did you find the
humanitarian-
weapon? The Americans say we're America.
My friend, do you understand what humanitarian help is?
It's a mistake to kill millions.
Hold on.
So it's like Hitler. He doesn't do mistake.
Wait. You haven't
Do you like
accepted the
Hitler?
point I'm making.
Do you like Hitler?
No.
Why?
You haven't
Because he killed a lot of
accepted the
people.
point
He
I'm
killed
making.
him.
You're skipping from one point to the other. You need to stick to one point.
All right.
This is not a discussion.
All right.
We're talking. You don't want to discuss. You want to fight. That's very true.
No,
That's very
I'm
true.
not come to fight. I told you I don't hate Ukrainian people, but you need to drink from the same cup.
What
You need to
same
drink-
cup, man? The Ukrainians did nothing to the Iraqis. They were doing humanitarian help in Iraq. And you want to fight? 3 losses. And you're here claiming that the Ukrainians has got it coming. This is nonsense.
No, my
You need to do some
Ukrainian,
research.
There was in Iraq
You need to do
and
some
invade them
research.
with America.
Look it up on Google. I beseech you to go to Google and look it up immediately or whenever you have the time. The operations, the active operations that Ukraine participated in Iraq, you won't find any. Because Ukraine was not part of any active military operation. They were part of one scouting operation, I believe. And then they did humanitarian help. That's it. You can't blame the Ukrainians from genociding the Iraqis. You can't. If you want to blame the Americans, fine, we can talk about that later. But you can't be putting the blame on the Ukrainians. They're blameless. You know what I mean? Now let's go back to Ukraine and about the war with Russia. The Russians have started this war by invading Ukraine in 2014. Okay, thank you for that. You admit that. I appreciate
Why
that
they
you're
start
telling the
that?
truth.
Why they start?
They started it because they felt like they could get away with it. They felt like NATO would give no consequence to Russia for the invasion of Ukraine. That's why they began. Why did the Russians
NATO
advance
want
again?
Russia. Of course NATO want to invade Russia.
NATO wanted to invade Russia. NATO
100%
offered
one
an
day.
opportunity for Russia to join NATO, an opportunity that the Russians considered. If I'm not mistaken, during
Russia, they will invade.
if I'm not mistaken. Alexei, come here, man, come here. You know, this individual is a very good person to have in this conversation because this individual is a Russian.
Where he come from?
He's Russian.
You Russian?
He is Russian, yes. And he is...
Come, brother, come.
Looks can be deceiving. Looks can be deceiving.
Come close.
Looks can be deceiving.
FBC or FBC. That's all right.
FSB, yeah, FSB.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Give
He's
us
a nice guy, you see.
salam.
But look, the point is that the Russian government is not good for Russia. Russian government is not good for Ukraine. The Russian government is the enemy of these places.
And Zelensky is good
his
for your
enemy,
country.
as well as mine enemy.
Let's give him time.
You know what I mean? And I'll just finish this point and we'll move on. So Russia started this war because their elites wanted to be enriched at the cost of the Ukrainians. Instead of trying to improve the lives of the common Russians, they went for Ukraine and they attacked. Not because they were provoked, not because the Ukrainians did something to them. The Ukrainians gave up the third biggest nuclear arsenal in human history in exchange of a promise of peace with Russia.
Yeah, Russian history
Nothing
from
more.
the 1990s.
The Russians
history of
went there
imperialism.
just because they felt that they could get away with it. The only reason.
Wagner is killing our people in Sudan.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Wagner is killing our people.
You know why?
That's a symptom of the
But they're not helping you like they help the Ukrainian, isn't
They are
it? Because you're
Wagner.
Muslim.
No, they are killing.
Because you're Muslim, they're not helping you.
Wagner
These
is-
people,
Wagner
the
is
Ukrainian
murdering
and the Russian
Ukrainians,
and the American, they were bombing people in Syria. Yes?
The Russians.
Yes?
The
No.
Russians were bombing.
The Russians were
Ukrainians-
bombing.
do say-
The
No, the
Ukrainians
Russians
were bombing people in Syria.
Yes, they were helping the Syrian regime.
The Ukrainians were bombing people in Syria.
Yes.
In my
They sent
country.
weapons.
Yes, in
And
Libya.
they
What
still
are you
now.
talking about? The Russians were using chemical weapons in Syria. The Russians have leveled Aleppo to the ground.
And the American,
You need to
the angels.
understand
The
this.
American, the angels.
My friend, this is whataboutism. I'm telling you, the Russians did something bad. You're saying, oh, but what about the Americans? They did some bad things too. You can't do that.
Well, we didn't
You need
hear-
to face the
we didn't hear that
accusation.
Zelensky guy saying what's happening in Russia, in Syria is wrong.
Brother, I need to ask you a question. If you are condemning the Americans, why are you condoning the same actions being done by someone else? If the Americans are bad, and we agree the Americans are bad, why are the Russians doing exactly the same? A good
I don't
thing.
want anyone to die. I don't want the West exploiting
A
this
while ago, he said that Ukrainians had what they deserve. Now you say you don't
so
want
he's a
anyone to die.
hypocrite. Stands for nothing.
You change your opinion very quickly. A while ago, you said that the Ukrainians are getting what they deserve. You said you don't feel sorry for them. Now you say, yeah, again. And you're switching between 2 points. You're saying, I don't want anyone to die. And then you're saying, oh, the Ukrainians got what they deserve.
because you guys are getting exploited by the West.
So we got what we deserve.
That even makes sense.
Because you're stupid.
I don't think you understand the meaning of that.
Brother, hang on.
Sit down and talk to the Russians.
Brother, hang
Yeah,
on.
sit
hang
down
on,
like before,
hang on.
sure.
So the Ukrainians are being exploited by the West. So what are the options? To just sit down and do nothing?
No, sit down and talk to them.
Why?
Give them promises that you're not going to join NATO, that you're not going to invite them to have bases over there, and encircle Russia.
Wasn't
because
Ukraine
that is a
rejected
declaration
by
of
NATO
war.
twice? Wasn't Ukraine rejected by NATO twice?
No,
Yes, yeah, even Zelensky in the last visit to NATO, they never gave him a promise.
they're not going to give him. He can't join NATO
rejected by
because
10 years ago.
it's 10% of his land, more than 10% of his land is occupied by a foreign power. He cannot join NATO while he's in war. Yeah, it needs to be
Before the
peace.
war, sir.
It needs to be
Before the war. You're talking about currently. Before the war, NATO rejected
happened?
Ukraine's application.
Yeah, because they're not up to standard, maybe.
So then what's the threat then? So what's the threat? If they're not up to standard, how do they threaten Russia?
American faith,
They're rejected and they're not up to snuff.
England
So
with
where's
them,
the threat?
a lot of people
Self-defense
dying
is second.
just to get his petrol, his gold and that. So Ukraine, yes, of course.
Now you admit it. A while ago you were disagreeing. Okay, so what's the reasons for Putin to attack Ukraine?
Because you were a puppet of CIA.
We were puppets of CIA. Okay, that's why Putin attacked Ukraine.
Britain and all NATO.
Right. What makes you think that?
Can you go no sport, no
You wanted the bombs, you wanted the atomic bombs to be close to the Russian
Is
border?
it? Is that why we gave up our nuclear bombs?
Why would you don't have
Giving up your nuclear bombs.
Do you realize that Ukraine gave up their nuclear arsenal?
they don't have that, they are Russian ones.
The Russian ones?
Yeah, it was
You sure of
what
that?
Ukraine have.
You sure of that? And Ukraine did not create any of those nuclear weapons in
Probably
Ukraine?
they were working with Russia.
Ah, okay, probably working with Russia. So what makes Russia claim ownership of those nuclear weapons?
Because he is the master of you and master of
Is he?
all Ukrainians. Yeah.
Is he? And America is the master of the world, according to you, right? So why are you
There is no
speaking against
America
America?
anymore.
Look, you seem to switch
America
between between your being very subservient to Russia and being very opposing to the US. If the US truly does control the world, why are you not subservient to the US? Why are you subservient to Russia?
USA is no more controlling the world.
USA has no more control in the world.
There's China there.
A while ago you were saying the US was everywhere.
Middle East there.
Now you changed your mind again.
No. You must.
I must do what?
You must go to Russia and say, Putin, please, let us live.
Please, three please.
Let us live. Because I really
Let us live?
Yeah.
Live or leave? What do you mean?
Live, L-I-V-E.
Like living, being alive.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to beg Putin to allow us to live.
Of course. If
As
we
a
get-
sovereign country, Ukraine needs to beg a
Because
different country to
you
allow
are-
them to live,
Ridiculous thing I've
according
ever
to this
heard my entire
individual.
life.
You are a puppet of bloody USA. Do you think USA, they love you?
Do you understand what being a puppet means?
A puppet, it means
Being a puppet means that you have to beg for your life.
they are begging now.
But you
They
want us to
are
beg of Russia. You want us to be a puppet of Russia.
Begging.
You claim Ukraine is a puppet of the US. You don't give any proof of Ukraine being a puppet of the US. And you say that Ukraine should be a puppet of Russia. So now we see it through your arguments here.
If he puppet of Russia is better than.
Oh, it's
bloody-
better,
yeah.
huh? It's better. All
I
we'll get
feel- I
is a
feel-
third Holodomor. This time
Can
it's
you
successful.
zip your mouth?
Why?
Let
Am
me
I
go.
making too much sense?
No, you don't make sense. You are
Really?
senseless. Yeah.
Senseless.
Projection.
You sure of that?
I'm sure. We are people here, they pay all these taxes and all this money goes to bloody Ukraine. Your president every time.
All of this money, all the taxes go to Ukraine, all of them.
Please, help. When are you going to stop?
Hold on a second. You say Ukrainians are asking for money from the West, but you don't want that. You want Ukraine to beg Russia instead.
Oh yeah, if you want a peace,
What
yeah,
sense does that make?
you have to be, you have the kiss of.
This individual has a lot of sexual innuendos in his speech.
Life is sex.
Life is sex, okay.
He was sexy man, doesn't he? He was on the
Oh, he's a
stage.
sexy man. Now you like Putin, huh?
No,
I'm sure you do.
Your pictures beneath your pillow of Putin.
Well, I can
Do you
see
kiss
I
it
can
every
see who
night?
really has the homosexual tendencies here.
No, really.
I mean, he's talking about it.
I want from you.
What do you want?
You have our sympathies and prayers.
Don't bring that.
He left. Go on.
That guy.
He ran. Is he what?
Is he normal?
Who? The bald guy?
Yeah, the.
No, he's not
elephant.
normal. But to be fair, you're not normal either, Stalin. So.
Why he is getting so angry so quickly?
Because he's not normal. He has mental issues.
Why
man.
do you bring him with you?
Who?
elephant man.
No, I thought you were talking about Candyman. I thought you were talking about Candyman. Oh, you're talking about Tommy.
Elephant
Okay.
man. Elephant, is it?
You call him elephant. I think being Stalin is much worse than being an elephant. You know, elephants are lovely creatures.
Stalin made Russia to stand against the West. At that time, Russia, all the West was one side and Russia one side. And even at that time, China wasn't helping Russia. You remember that?
Yeah, China had its own problems.
They have their own problems with North Korea or something like that.
Not quite, but
Russia stand half of the world saved by Russia. Do you know that? Half
is
of
it?
Europe. Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you aware that Russia in the beginning of the Second World War was allies with the Nazis?
It was. But the,
Oh, okay, so Russia saved the world. Thank you, Russia, for siding with the
but
Nazis.
the stupid Hitler attacked Russia. Otherwise, if they
Okay.
kept alliance,
So
they
hold on a
now.
second. You want me to praise Russia, to praise the Soviet Union for fighting the Nazis when they
Because
started
it's
World War II on the same side as the Nazis? How does
Because
that work?
that's politics.
Oh, that's politics. Okay.
Don't start politics.
Why should I praise the Soviet Union again? What's praiseworthy about the Soviet Union?
Because Soviet Union, in 10 years' time, with China, if they get together with everything, militarily, economically, politically, and everything, all USA can kick it out. Yes. So you have to know
Interesting.
that.
Why did the Soviet Union lose the Cold War then?
It didn't lose the Cold War. It's because economic situation. Because that bloody man, what's his name? Gorbachev. The drunk man. What's his name?
Which one of them
Yes.
has so many drunk men in the Soviet
Yeltsin,
Union?
Yeltsin.
Ah, but he's Yeltsin. Yeah.
Can you stop? Are you Ukrainian?
What?
Are you Ukrainian?
She's not. Why?
I'm British. Can you not tell by my accent?
What does it matter if she's Ukrainian or not?
No, because I hate Ukrainians.
Ah, you see, Stalin, this is your problem. Stalin hated Ukrainians, and you are the manifestation of
Then why do you
Stalin's
keep
hatred
approaching him?
against the Ukrainians.
Why do you keep approaching him?
Because I want to destroy him.
He has a rage boner for me. He has a rage boner for me.
Do you have pictures of him underneath your pillow?
Don't ask questions you know the answer to.
No, I mean not physically.
I mean, you saw him over there and you ran to him. Are you in love
Yeah,
with him?
because I saw that bloody flag.
Oh.
Bloody
See, we're just talking here with Stalin, you know, about a few different things. Stalin, you know, he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. His points are trash, but he's a pretty funny guy. He's a CIA guy. You know? Look at this big guy. You know, he can beat you up. He can beat anyone. Look at him. He's here on vacation in the UK.
Vacation, it's a long vacation.
I know. I mean, your shirt claims that it's a
It's a
vacation.
CIA shirt, yeah. It's hate-
Anyway, Stalin, look, if you hate Ukraine, look within yourself for the origin of that hatred. To hate something without knowing why is very silly. You know what I mean?
I know why I hate Ukraine.
Why? You almost had a Freudian slip there.
No, don't be silly. I hate CIA. I hate Western Union.
But Ukraine is not CIA.
He's begging them to join the what you call
He's asking
NATO.
for US help. He's asking
not
to
a
join
beg-
NATO to defend
Which is
himself
better, to beg-
against Russia.
Which is better, to beg Russia or to beg America?
We're not begging anyone.
You're begging
We're asking
them. Come
NATO,
on, don't be
and
silly.
we're asking the
You
UK
are-
and the
you
US
are
to
begging
do what they
every
have promised to do in the past.
Even
Hold
you
on a second.
you
Hold on.
begging Pope.
Hold on.
You begging Pope to support.
Imagine this. We signed a contract, right? Me and you. We signed a contract that tomorrow you're going to come to the corner with this same shirt. I pay you
This is
100
from
pounds.
Harrods.
I pay you 100 pounds.
This
I pay
is
you,
from Harrods.
Listen. I pay you 100 pounds for that. We get a lawyer. We ratify the contract. Excellent. You come tomorrow in a red shirt, like a communist Stalin shirt, right? And I ask you, why did you not keep your word? We signed the contract. I paid you, and you say, "Oh, I don't have to keep any contract." What does that mean?
Who said that we don't have an
My friend,
It
a
is.
treaty needs to be kept. If it's not kept,
Why
you
in-
are seen as a lying dirtbag.
Why in
It's as simple as that.
Why in 1994 when they have this agreement between what's
What
it called?
agreement?
Huh?
What agreement?
You know, I don't know what agreement.
Which agreement are you talking about?
No, the one which is had a kind of truce between Ukraine and
The agreement of
The Minsk agreement.
Yes.
But the Minsk agreement was
Minsk,
not done
yeah.
in that date. You're confused with the dates now.
Yeah,
the
it
Minsk
was
agreement.
Minsk. Why
the
didn't
Minsk
you- why
agreement
didn't you
was
apply?
only signed after the
because
beginning of the
America
war.
told you to not sign.
The war began
to
in
not obey with
2014.
it.
No, Ukraine signed 2 Minsk agreements.
No, you.
Yes, they did.
No,
yes, we
come on.
did.
Russia signed as well.
Yes,
But
both
you
of them
didn't
signed,
apply
but
for it
Russia
because-
broke that agreement.
No,
And the second
come on.
Minsk agreement was broken basically immediately after it was signed because the
But
Russians
Russia only
were
wanted
almost
to
making
say-
us surround on a bunch of
Russia
Ukrainian
wanted
troops.
to save Russia.
Save Russia from what?
From
The
evils
Ukrainians.
like you.
From the Ukrainians.
No,
but the Ukrainians gave up their
evils-
nuclear weapons.
Evils who was with the CIA.
Buddy, what is there to save Russia from? Ukraine gave up their nuclear weapons.
But why didn't you apply the Minsk treaties?
What?
Why you
That was
playing-
after the war began.
No.
Yes.
After war
The
began.
Minsk-
It was before that. Here,
Minsk
war-
agreement was signed before the war began.
Of course. Before that, the war is about 2 years. It's still not 2 years old. What are you
So
talking about?
you're talking about 2014, he's talking about last year.
Yeah, I know, but the war began in
The war began
2014.
2014. Minsk was after that. Is what Carlos said.
1214.
2014, yes. The war began in 2014.
When you occupied Kharkiv.
Yes, and Donbass. There was a war in Donbass.
That's Russian land.
But it was a war in Ukraine.
Does it
You do realize that
It
both
lasts only a
Donetsk
week.
and Luhansk, the 2 regions of Ukraine, of Donbass, both of them have voted overwhelmingly to be in Ukraine
No.
when the Ukraine left the Soviet
No.
Union.
That
80% plus,
Population
more
of
than
that,
80%.
Those
They voted to
area,
be with Ukraine.
they are
Overwhelming.
Russian.
Absolutely
They
overwhelmed.
are Russian.
Buddy, they have voted to be with Ukraine.
No.
Yes. Yes, you need to do basic research. Go to Google, do some basic research, very basic stuff.
I hate this
He
man.
probably thinks the island
Yeah, you keep
of
talking
Madeira
to him.
is Russian too.
You write to him, for fuck's sake.
Look, Stalin here, he needs to inform himself. He's lived so long. You've lived so long, Stalin. You've lived through World War II and all that.
I'm going to buy you a drink, but don't bring this guy.
No, thank you.
I don't want to be there.
Number 10.
You want to come with me?
No, thanks.
Sleazy shit asking you. I mean, first of all, even as a sort of fact he's an arsehole, you're out of his league by an immeasurable distance. I can't even give enough superlative.
Where is
Let me take a look.